Okay, so now we're going to start drawing a face tilted to the side. And you're going to be doing this on the lower part of your paper. When you're drawing the head, you can draw the head from any angle by looking for the line that goes in between the eyes and the lower lip, and as well as the angle of the eyes. So all of the vertical features of the face are going to be arranged along this vertical that goes through the eyes, bottom of the nose. And all of the horizontal features are going to be arranged along the axis of the eyes. So what that basically means, and it'll make more sense when we move into the next demonstration, is that we can draw the face from any angle simply by looking at the center line and the line for the angle of the eyes. So this is really the first step in drawing portraits. Sometimes people recommend drawing a circle for the ball of the back of the head. I find that's a little bit difficult for beginners to quantify because it's drawing something that you can't see. You might find it's useful. So instead, I tend to just teach this by saying just look for the angle in between the eyes and the angle going down the face here. For quick drawings, if you go to a life drawing class or you're just sketching on the street, the only angles you really need are the one that goes, through the eyes, down the face, as well as the angle of the outer side of the face and the angle of the head going back. That's enough to give you the foundations for creating an expressive face. So, you just get those basics down. And if you have time, you can build that up. So when you're sort of drawing from life. So, just to reiterate, just the central axis line, the line of action, which is going down this way, as well as the eye line. Really useful. Also note that, we were working with thirds, but as someone looks downwards or looks upwards, those proportions are going to change because they're going to scrunch up as you go down. So they're not going to stay the same. But as I mentioned before, what will stay kind of constant is that angle from the center of the eyes to the sides of the nose, where you can see them, as well as the pupils to the sides of the lips. So by mapping those out and by looking for those things as landmarks, they can give you a really good start to creating a proportionate face from any angle. Okay? So we'll slow that down a bit by doing a draw along demonstration. Let me just get a fresh sheet of paper. Okay, so we're going to start this drawing by looking at the angle going through the eyes and through the bottom of the nose. So we're going to get an angle going kind of like this. If you hold your pencil out to the reference and then back down to the paper, it'll be exactly the same. Let's get this a bit more slanted. Okay, so using your measuring stick with this line, about 3 units down, we're going to get the center of the eyebrows. Then about 2 units down, bottom of the nose, about 2, bottom of the chin. So because this figure is being photographed from above, these proportions are a little bit different than they would be otherwise. I want to move into the nose and eyes first. Now, the nose is useful because the nose sits on 2 different planes of the face. So it can give us a lot of information about the tilt of the face. So I'm just going to start with the nose by doing an angle here that's going to come inwards towards the eye notch. I find looking for this eye notch always useful. So this will be where the eyebrows are. Now I'm going to draw a line for the eyes following the same axis of the eyebrow line. When we're looking at the eyes from the side, instead of being circular shapes, they start to get more oval. They occupy less space than they do otherwise. So instead of when you're looking at the face full on, being able to see a circle and it being 5 eyes wide, when you tilt the face, that perspective gets different. I'm going to use the side of the nose as a reference to find where the inner corner of this eye is. And this is going to be more of a circle shaped eye here. So just making these marks super light. Okay, now to identify the sides of the lips, we need to kind of pretend that she's looking at us straight instead of to the side. So I'm just putting a line for the center of the eyeballs, which is going to direct where the lips are. And then, this is the nose tilting down. We're going to have the lips center around here. With the chin coming out here. So 2 down, the chin's going to occupy, we'll have a little space for that. And let's move into the eyebrows. So we've got an eyebrow coming here. Okay, so let's move into the features of the face before we sort of commit to putting in the angles around it. And I find this can be useful just, you know, because it gives you the perspective to be able to see where you are. Sometimes if you start too general, it gets a little bit difficult. So let's begin with the eyes. So just like we did before, you're going to look and see if you can see the tear duct, and you want to align the eyelids along the same point. I'm going to switch to using my darker pencil now. So if you've used an H pencil so far, this is going to be, you know, you probably won't need to erase. If your marks are fairly dark, you might want to erase at this point. And I'm wrapping the upper eyelid around this oval. As well as the lower eyelid. Just pretending I'm wrapping it around the oval. We'll move to this side. So we've got the tear duct, and now wrapping around the circle, more of the circle. And aligning the upper eyelid. I'm going to get the pupils in here. Now, she's looking to the side. They're going to be on the side of the eye. And this pupil is going to be a little bit more oval shaped because we're looking at it from the side. Moving into this eye notch area, this can be very expressive depending on the person. So really pay attention when you're drawing to this little eye notch here. I'm going to move into the notch of the eye and the eyebrow. Moving here. Now I'm going to move into the nose, which is going to be around the inner corner of the eye. So inner corner of the eye down to the sides of the nose. I'm going to start just by blocking out where the nostril is, to the side of this oval here. Carving into that. Noses can be very expressive, so noses really do carry a lot of personality. So you want to really get your individual's nose correct. And I'm just going to put this little bit of shadow on the underside of the nose here. Now, we'll have a little bit of shading for the Cupid's bow, but now I'm going to move into the lips. I'm looking to see where on the nose the top of the Cupid's bow is. Remember that, again, everything's going to be scrunched up on this side. So this side of the lips is going to be much smaller. It's not going to be the same size as this side of the lips where we see more. This side is longer than this side. Now moving to the lower lip. Again, you can see here how those horizontal axes are all lining up. And I've got this chin area here. Do a little bit of shading. Don't want it to look too much like a beard. A little bit of shading underneath the lower lip. And now let's work in the hair and the forehead. Okay, so let's move into the eye notch. We're only seeing a very small amount of the side of the face. You can also draw another horizontal line to show where the cheeks are going to be. You can even, if you want, to kind of direct your shading, work in an oval here for cheek 1, because we're seeing that at the side, and a circle here for cheek 2. This can just help us with our shading. And I'm just contouring the face around that oval. Okay, now I'm going to measure the side of the face is about 1 eye width to the side, and you can do that holding your pencil out. So you just really want to check this, and that's the eye including the eyelash. So without the eyelash, it's even a little bit further, like 1/4 further, so about there. That's around where the side of the face is. So we can start to carve that out, and again, that's going to follow this vertical axis. You can use your pencil to look for the angle of the chin. And then look for where the neck sits on the chin. And the neck is really occupying a very, very small place because of the foreshortening. Now the ears, I'm going to locate the ears by looking at the side of the eyebrow to see where that aligns. So it's a pretty straight angle. And the bottom of the ears, I'm going to look at what that angle is from the bottom of the nose up. We'll get that around here. Then moving up to the forehead. Our reference here has a Cupid's bow, kind of, or I forget what that's called, but just a kind of triangular thing, the top of her hair. And now I'm going to compare the forehead to the length of the hair, and the hair is going to occupy a space pretty much the same as the length of the eyebrows to the top of the hairline to the back of the hair. I'm going to start just by very loosely sketching that out. Now again, horizontal axis, the hairline is going to follow that, and I'm just kind of carving out where the hair is going to be. I'm putting in a few details of this jacket that she's wearing, because that is going to give context for where she actually is in space. And now we can start to work in a little bit more shading. Okay, so I'm going to shade kind of underneath this area of the cheekbone, kind of up here, along the side of the nose. The eyes are pretty much all shaded in. There's not much of a reflection here. Some shading on the upper lip. and some shading on the lower lip. As well as some shading here. The neck is going to be darker because it's the shade. And there's also going to be a shadow from her coat. Just going to shade the inside of the ear. And now I'm going to put a few marks just showing the direction of the hair. I'm going to see where the bun is in relation to her eyebrow. Let's get a little bit of the forehead down. Plenty of very interesting muscles in the forehead to go into at some point. Now, with hair, you want to think about the spaces in between the hairs more than the hair itself. So you don't want to think about sketching every single hair. It's more that you're looking for general volume in the darker areas. So I'm going to pick out some darker triangle shapes in her hair. First looking for the very darkest points. Next, I'm going to shade the hair more generally. So I've got some shade coming down here and up here, as well as along this side. So the light's hitting on the top of her head. And also we've got this bun. So I'm just going to mark out some of these areas of shade. And I'll get some background in as well. Just a little bit of detail around the collar. One thing you can do with your shading is have your lines follow the volume of whatever form you're showing. It can just add a little bit more dynamism, form, etc. to your work. Oh, what was I doing here? Okay, I overshaded in this section. We've got the color going all the way up here. Okay, back to the hair. So we've got some shade here, we've got a little bit of shade here. And then finally, what you can do for the individual hairs is basically you start by looking for the darkest areas. You're not going to see individual hairs unless someone has super greasy hair in the darker areas. But as you move into the light areas, a couple of these hairs are going to hit the light. So you can actually go into the lighter areas, the highlights. And if you're sort of confident that you can follow the form of the head, you can put in a few of these lines for hair. You're only really going to see this in the light areas. And then contour those forms a bit. Okay. All right, so I hope this was helpful. And if we have more time in class, we'll be doing a male face. I have a feeling we'll only get to this and our face facing forwards, but we'll see. So the point here is just getting a sense of the landmarks that you can look at to shape a face, getting these horizontal and vertical axes organized. It's really, organization is such a key feature of faces that we look for, symmetry, etc. And yeah, hope this was helpful.